There used to be people here, a lot of people. Year after year, they came through the gates, punched the clock, went to work. And they worked hard. They took pride in their skills and the quality of the products that they built. And then suddenly, one day, it was all gone. The owners and their accountants knew exactly what was happening. And for a very long time, the books had been telling them that the company was getting deeper into trouble. And the books, we all know, don't lie. But the people out here, well, they had no idea. How could they have known? They had jobs to do. And it wasn't their job to know about financial statements. Or was it? There's a revolution going on in the way companies are being run. One that's breaking down the old walls between those who own and manage companies and their employees. It is based on a simple but profoundly radical idea. If employees can learn how a business operates and how it makes money, then they begin to think and act like business people themselves. And the results are absolutely astonishing. His name is Jack Stack, and he's the president and CEO of the Springfield Remanufacturing Corporation, or SRC. Back in 1982, when this story starts, SRC was the International Harvester Renew Center, a small division of the giant International Harvester Corporation. That was when Harvester was sliding toward bankruptcy, and they were closing or selling off unprofitable operations like the Renew Center, and people were losing their jobs. Stack felt that if he could find a way to buy the Renew Center from the International Harvester Corporation, he could save 119 jobs, including his own. The asking price was $9 million.
And the first question that the first banker asked me, he said, well, when are you going to pay this money back? And it really took me back. It floored me. And I thought, wow, really good question. I wasn't here to pay your money back. I thought you just paid an interest. And then you would just continually grow. And if you did really well, they'd be more than happy. I didn't really understand the economic system. I was totally financially illiterate, all right? Even though I had gone to college and I had all this workers' experience, I said, I knew nothing about the financials of a company. I never had been exposed to them. And it was quite an embarrassing situation. But after about 15 or 20 business plans, all of a sudden you realize that this isn't rocket science. This is not complicated. This is not sophisticated. This is not... How did we set these standards where people aren't allowed to see these things, okay? What's so magical about this? This is the same thing done over and over and over again. Later in life, I found out that they've been doing this since the 1400s, okay? This stuff has been there since the 1400s. These outcomes have affected billions and billions of people, and to this day, a very, very slim fraction of people really understand these things and can interpret them and can effectively use them in terms of changing their life. It's like the best kept secret in the world. And so it was a result of one denial after another, one change of business plan, that I began to realize that if I understood this stuff, anybody can learn this stuff. And I promised that if in fact we got this company, we would teach everybody. We would open up the door that this is not hard, okay? This is something that you need. This is something that will build a better quality of life if in fact you really understand it. And if you get to that point of getting it, it will change your life forever.
Like other businessmen of his generation, Stack had been exposed to the latest managerial theories. But the idea that he hit on was not being taught in any of the business schools. It was so simple, maybe that's why no one had ever tried it.
We wanted them to know what kind of a game they're in, that they decided that they could compete, that they liked the game that they were in, and if they didn't like the game that they're in, then they should go wherever they want to go to work. But by God, I think when you hire somebody, what you ought to be doing is teaching them what it's going to take to succeed. And to give them the elements of success is by going out there and teaching them the game that they're in. Let's put it down into their perspective so they can get the confidence to know that they can understand this stuff. And to me, it was important to understand this stuff because, again, I didn't want them to come into me and sit there saying, should I get married? Should I buy a car? I wanted them to see the balance sheet and say, oh, this company's good. It's sustainable. It's going to go someplace, okay? I can grab the brass ring at this company, okay, because they're going to give me the opportunities to learn. They're going to give me the opportunities to grow.
What was going on at Springfield Remanufacturing didn't remain a secret for very long. The media started paying attention, and there were articles in the Wall Street Journal and Inc. magazine, and stories on McNeil Lehrer and CBS Evening News. Then when the book, The Great Game of Business, was finally published in 1992, suddenly you had companies from all over the map asking if the principles of the game would work in their organizations. The answer was yes. Any kind of business can benefit from the game, and they have. Small companies, Fortune 500 companies, public and private companies, manufacturing and service sector companies, you name it. But anyone who is thinking of trying the game should be forewarned, because there is a lot more to the great game of business than just opening up your books.
When you talk to people about open book management, so many of them will say, well, we're doing open book management, or we're doing our version of open book management, or we're doing something like open book management. But in fact, they really aren't. What they're doing is open book reporting. So the whole deal there is the timing. Reporting is, I'm going to share my numbers with you as long as it's too late to do anything about them. Open book management is, here's what the numbers look like, how can we improve them, how can we exceed my goals as a business owner together.
I've been in businesses, and I know most of our employees have, where you never are quite sure what's going on, and you're waiting for the other shoe to drop if you hear rumors, or if you hear bad things, or if you see the industry in transition. And healthcare is in great transition right now. So there's a lot of uncertainty and there's a lot of fear. But we get our people together with such regularity, and we talk about the issues. We talk about the rumors. We talk about the concerns. And they're engaged in helping us find answers to these questions and find strategies to keep us moving forward.
We knew that we needed to do something to increase the understanding of our coworkers about the business, to give them information about our financials and the effect that they have on our financials. Before we worked with the Great Game of Business, we began that process, opening our financials, establishing an incentive plan around them, and we didn't have the tools to quickly teach all of our coworkers what it is that we were doing. The Great Game of Business came and provided us a template for teaching our coworkers about this process and getting them involved very quickly in understanding their financials, forecasting our financials, and making decisions about their effects on those financials.
The more I got into it, the more I was like, I wasn't sure where to start. And so one of the best experiences for me was to come to the SRC Experience class. And then realize that, hey, you know, there are coaches out there, folks that do this every day. And there's so many practitioners. Having this network of people really do make it a lot easier to start, because other folks have been through this, other companies have done this. They've been very successful at it.
Companies who play the great game of business have seen the benefits, because many of the benefits go to the bottom line. But there's something else, because when you teach people business, you're not just teaching them a job skill, but a skill that they can use all their lives.
So I came into work one day, and we had our maintenance lady walk up to me with a huge grin on her face, and I said, what are you smiling about? What's going on? She said, I just paid off my house. I said, she said, yeah, I have a 5-year plan. SRC every year comes out with the 5-year plan. So when I started working here, I started coming out with a 5-year plan, and I just paid off my house.
I planned in 5 years to be out of debt. Not only my house is paid for, car's paid for, I owe nobody. and I planned on that. And it was like, okay, how am I going to do this? And they gave me the tools to be able to do that. I mean, I don't think a lot of people can say they're out of debt.
She smiled at me and said, how many people can say they have no debt right now? And I looked at her and I said, not me. I don't have a 5-year plan. I learned something from that day from our maintenance lady to build a plan, just like we do every day inside our organization. You can carry it over to your life.
In the past 30 years, SRC has spun off more than 60 new businesses, and many of those businesses are run by former hourly workers. In fact, people no different than the people who used to work here, except for one thing. Someone gave them the chance to play the game.